Yes, that's definitely a trout. Just took off out of the water. Oh man. So you join us today. I am using our sort of finesse float gear, and I'm doing it to rove a new stretch of river. I've actually come down to, I think it's Hampshire. It's the river test anyway. Little treat for me. And I'm supposed to be grayling and roach fishing. There are a few nice chub in here as well, but first couple of runs through, I'm sure it won't be the last trout of the day, but they make good sport on the float. Just want to get through to those grayling. I'm just going to show you how I go about roaming a new stretch of river with a float rod. What I'm looking for, sort of creases, slacks, depths, features, and that sort of thing. I'm just going steady because I haven't got a really heavy hook link on. I've got our new maggot hooks on, but each trout have got teeth. Wicked. Here at Timsbury, they've got a rule not to try not to take the trout out of the water and deal with them as best as I can. I'm just going to get my discorder out. They've also got a barbless rule which will make it easier, wrong pocket, to unhook in the net. I'm just going to keep him there in the edge. And another reason we've come to the test today, I'm hoping this one's a grayling. It's not fighting like that trout. We've had to escape the floods. Back where me and Ty live, the Severn's got 4 metres of water on, which is just a typical story of this season. Most of the rivers by us have just been savagely out of sorts for whatever reason. Well, I say whatever reason, it's the amount of rain we've had. I don't think I remember a wetter winter. But it made for a perfect excuse to get ourselves down there, somewhere I've been meaning to come for a long time, to be honest, and give the test a go. And what better way to fish on light float tackle. I've got my 4.4 glide mono. I've got an old 11-foot Korum float rod, which is lovely and soft in the tip. A 2 gram fine liner with our new quick change Olivettes, down to a size 16 barbless maggot hook. I'm just going steady because it's coming up under the rod tip. I am hopeful this is a grayling. So I've chose this swim because there's a definite sort of kink in the river, and I'm just running off the inside of the bend. You're looking for that change of water where the fish can sort of sit just out the main flow and intercept anything coming down. It's always a good place to start on new waters. I have just had a little grayling. I've unluckily, just bumped a couple of fish and one felt much better. You tell yourself you hope it was a trout, but you almost know it's a grayling. So this swim is the reverse to the last. I said about the bottom coming up and it bottlenecking. So this one is the opposite side of that shallow water in the river. So the fish should use that as, it will create like, the surface water will pass over the top and form somewhere comfortable for them to lie behind the shallower hump. in theory. Hopefully I can prove it in a minute while catching one. And a fish. Let's hope that is the quarry. It is. It's not massive, but it's a grayling. I'm going to go steady because I've had a nightmare this morning. I've pulled out of the 3 biggest grayling I've hooked. There's the first better test grayling of the morning. Another grayling. Just tend to wait for them to turn round and they start swimming up the current. When they're hanging in that flow, I think the worst thing you can do is pull. They just sort of wait for them to start coming up the current. Lovely fish. These are a nightmare to hold, as you can see, but that's the biggest of the grayling so far. Oh, they're beautiful fish, aren't they? Look, they're so wiry though. And they're quite plump actually at the minute. The dove grayling are much skinnier than that. Got all the colours on them. So I'm just going to quickly run you through how I'm sort of storing and getting all my stuff ready for today. As you can see, it's not the best of conditions, so keeping things dry is a massive plus. They're never going to stay completely dry because you're going to be opening and closing them as you're using, but this has been a game changer today because, as you can see, my bait is still all very usable still in the bottom of there. I've got a spare catapult in there, and then these 2 trays. Instead of using them for other bait items, all I've done is loaded them up with all the bits of tackle that I need. So I've got my hook links that are tied up at home, ready in preparation. So last thing you want to be doing is tying hook links with, as you can see my hands, soaking wet, covered in mud. It's cold, so they're ready to go. If I break a hook link, hook goes blunt, I'll just quickly whip another one on. I have got my spare hook link line just in case I do need to tie a bigger hook or bigger hook links up. My spare floats, so I've got my fine liners. There's an old hook link that I've discarded quickly there. So I've got my fine liners, my bigger Avon style floats, and for the shallower water I use the missiles just because less intrusive, there's no sort of stem, perfect for shallower runs. So they're all in there. I'll just pop those back. I've got my spare reel line in case of an emergency and something drastic happens to the spool I've got. Then I've got my Olivettes. The beauty of these, the quick change, I can clip off the 1.6 and I can put a 4 gram on or a 2 gram all the way up to 8 gram. Varying swims like you've seen today, covering loads of water, loads of different types of swims, trying to find where those fish are sitting on that given day. Some days they'll be in that nice deep steady pace water, some days they'll be in that shallow riffle. So options, always loads of options. So again, options, I've got my quick change swivels. If I wanted to change bait, put a bigger hook bait on, so bread, sweet corn, heavier hook links. So if I was going for chub, I can quickly just unclip my rig and put another one on. And then again, hooks, our new maggot hooks. More options, just spares, just being prepared basically. if anything, not bad happens, but if I start losing lots of tackle, hooking snags, everything's ready. All I need is in this box and my waistcoat. I have got a few little bits in my waistcoat. So I've got shot and spare hooks in my waistcoat in the pockets. I normally keep my Olivettes and shot in my top pocket, but today I've got the microphone in it. I've got a couple of spare floats in case I'm on other rivers I'll wade out, so I've got, save having to come back up the bank and pick this up. So I've got a couple of spare floats in there and my disgorgers, and I'm good to go then. So I'm hardly carrying anything, which makes it so much easier to keep moving instead of keep tackling down, starting then tackling back up when you get into a new swim. I've literally got a box of everything I need, my waistcoat, my rod, and as you saw earlier, my bait pouch, and I'm good to go. Just keep moving until you find those fish. Another spotty. I will give it one more run. So I've come back up to that swim where I pulled out of a couple of this earlier. I did have one small grayling and a trout, but I did pull out of what felt a really nice fish. So I'll give it a rest, went down to that other swim, had 2 decent grayling straight off, and then the trout have just rocked up. I've like in the last 4 runs through, I've hooked 3 trout, and so I'm going to rest that swim as well. Basically, it's good once those trout come on. You either stay in the peg and try and catch them all, or you get on your toes and try and get on those grayling quickly before the trout sort of moving. A better grayling at last. That's the biggest so far today. They're lovely fish, the grayling. So colourful. They're also really, really lively when you get them on the bank. Important as well, when handling them, make sure you get your hands wet. You might have noticed most of the fish today, when I've got them in the margins, I'm keeping them in the water and I'm making sure my hands are wet. You don't want to be handling, especially grayling and trout, with dry hands. But they are beautiful, look at that. Absolutely fantastic sport on the River Test. Felt grayling. at first, but I've had a couple that have just turned into trout. Grayling. Another nice grayling, mate. That's what we're after. Right, we're back where we started. We've caught God knows how many trout. We've had a few nice grayling amongst them, but it's just been a case of the trout pushing the grayling out. We haven't found any of those nice roach either. I'm going to fish on for a little bit, and if I do catch one, I'll get a picture or a bit on the GoPro, but hopefully you've took some useful hints and tips. If you've liked the video, like and subscribe.